crafty friends. A few weeks ago I showed you how to make this multi-fold pocket with little tags and ephemera inside using a lovely little 6x6 inch scrapbook pad that I found on AliExpress because I loved the pictures. After releasing the video, I then found out, to my dismay, that these designs are actually copied. Something that I should have known and should have guessed. They are copied from Stamperia, and because I had made this oopsie by buying it off AliExpress as a counterfeit, I then went out and bought the original from Stamperia, hoping in some way that this would fix my mistake. So today I'm going to use the original beautiful designs of Stamperia with these gorgeous hydrangeas, which is now my favorite flower, and I'm going to show you how to create a different kind of multi-pocket with tags directly in your junk journal. First, let me just page through these gorgeous pictures and just show you all the pages available for you to use. Each one double-sided. This is 12-inch by 12-inch, and the colors are bright and vivid. It's a cardstock, so it's very sturdy. And of course, it's the designs that got me. So I'm throwing out the other little one that is not the original, and hopefully this balances out my mistake. So I'm going to be working in my handmade junk journal. I've created this journal specifically for making videos and showing you how to decorate pages or how to make ephemera and how to fill up your junk journal. The multi-pocket that I'm planning to make is going to be quite busy and full, so I want just plain coffee stained papers as the background. And then I'm going to start by choosing a couple of pages that I want to use to create the multi-pocket. The base of the pocket is going to be mostly the entire page of one of the sides of the journal. So I'm just going to place my cardstock over that and just roughly measure about 0.5 centimeter from the edge. And then I'm going to cut a rectangle piece that fits over the page of the journal. I was then going to place additional colored cardstock for the other pockets, but I didn't want to lose the beautiful background paper because I really love the design, so I've decided to go with vellum. It still works great as a pocket, but it's transparent enough to see the underneath designs. I'm going to make the pockets long ways with the vellum, so I'm just going to cut a piece. It's going to be bigger than the size that I want, and that is because it's easier to sew in the sewing machine when the vellum is overlapping. Never cut the vellum exactly to size and then try to stitch with the sewing machine. It will slip everywhere and it won't be aligned. And as I was creating this, I decided to make a double vellum pocket because I wanted two pockets vertically like this, but I didn't want to use the cardstock to cover up the design. So I'm doing two vellum pockets long ways, and then I'll do a cardstock pocket at the bottom. I'm then stitching it with the sewing machine, just a plain running stitch all the way around to hold the vellum in place. I'm then going to trim the excess vellum. I'm going to keep all the threads and strings hanging. I do like that look, but do trim them if that's not your style. I'm now going to add another pocket, this time horizontally with the cardstock. Before I do that though, I'm going to run some stitching from left to right over the vellum, just underneath where the pocket is going to be. This is going to prevent any tags or any kind of ephemera that I place in the top from sliding down. I then have my piece of cardstock, again a bigger size than what I need, which I'm going to stitch in the sewing machine at the left, bottom and the right. I've torn this one to give it a bit of a more rough or rustic look. Then I'm going to trim the excess again, leaving the threads. I'm then going to attach it to my page using double-sided tape. You can use other types of adhesives. I like the double-sided tape because it's sort of paper onto paper. I do get asked often why I use the different adhesive mediums that I use and if they sort of deteriorate over time. I've only been making journals for about 4 to 5 years and I haven't had issues yet, but I don't know real long term, like if it's 10 years or longer, if the adhesives will deteriorate. I'm now going to cut out 2 of their tags. They are part of the collection. They don't need any kind of additional backing because they're a good thick cardstock. I'm then going to also punch a hole in the top. This is just to add some threads, which is always optional. And they fit perfectly in my little vellum pockets. This thread that I'm using is from Taperlogy. They have some beautiful fibers and threads for you to use. I do have a link to their website in the description box below, and there's also a lovely discount if you use my discount code for your purchase. And I want to also embellish the bottom pocket a little bit, just to give it a little bit more depth. I'm going to use some of the existing cardstock papers and create some layers. And because I want to balance out the coffee stain papers that are on the right hand side, I'm going to add some coffee stain paper onto the left, onto the layered embellishment. I think that will create great balance and connect both pages across the spread. I'm going to add some more elements into the pockets. I have this beautiful printed vintage script paper. This is also available from Taperlogy, and I'm just going to fold it in half. I'm just going to see how it's going to fit. I don't want to hide too much of the beautiful printed paper, so I'm going to just fold it long ways and then pop it down the side of the bottom pocket. Now this, I think, also links in with a coffee stain color, which matches the entire theme. So I'm just going to work with the layered embellishment. I'm just going to keep adding bits and moving them around until I find a cohesive balance. I would love if you subscribed to my channel. I make lots of videos like this. I also do art journaling, and this is the home of the Full Deck Challenge. Also, when you subscribe, don't forget to hit the little bell so you're notified every time I upload new content. I'm also going to fussy cut some of the hydrangeas. I think they will create a good focal point for the bottom left hand corner on the pockets, and they will appear on top of all the layers of paper that I'm adjusting now. I'm going to also fussy cut the little butterflies. I think they will create a great spread of color with the little touches of color on some other areas of the page without overdoing it, but still carrying on the color of the overall theme. I'm going to add another vintage text style paper. I'm going to fold this a different way, and it's going to fit just behind the hydrangeas just to help them pop a little bit as the background is quite busy. I'm also going to add one plain tag. This is a ready-made tag in a beautiful lilac, and this is just to calm it down a little bit because otherwise it can get a little bit too busy. I'm going to add a piece of cheesecloth under my hydrangeas. I'm just trying to make them pop a little bit more because they seem to be drowning out in the busy background. I do want them to feel like they're popping off the page. I also think it needs a little bit more green to balance everything out. So I've just used some dies that I have and some green cardstock and put those through my die cutting machine to create a few little bits that I'm going to just tuck in underneath the other elements. Once I'm happy with the placement of everything, I'm going to start sticking everything down. I'm using a clear craft glue for this. Using a glue that doesn't dry instantly is a good idea for this, so you can move elements around as you need and tuck things underneath and just position them correctly. So a lot of times I used to use a hot glue gun for this kind of placement because I wanted it to dry fast, but for this, because I want to still be able to move the elements around, I'll use a liquid adhesive that takes a bit longer to dry. Always use what you're more comfortable with and what you have handy. I still feel it needs something between the two hydrangea flowers, and I found some of the wording from the kit, so I'm going to cut out an element and put that in between, and I think that balances it off and finishes it off really nicely. I'm just going to distress the edge with some distress ink in walnut just to make it pop a little bit more, and then I'm going to stick it down between the flowers. And then just one more small tag made out of the cardstock that is left over just to fill the little gap at the top of the pockets. I use an existing ready-made tag as a template to cut the corners and for the punch hole location. I just find it really quick and easy. And then I want to add one final touch. I'm going to use my blending brush with my pink oxide ink and a numbered stencil that I have, and I'm going to do just some stenciling just very lightly on one of the vintage papers, just to make it a little less plain. And then I'm going to do the same effect on the bottom right hand corner. This is just to make sure that the page looks like a spread, that it is cohesive, and it is all themed the same. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I really hope I have turned my wrong into a right by purchasing the original papers and throwing away the counterfeit ones that I used in the first video. Thanks again for watching. I hope you were inspired to create your own. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.